Naturally, phantom limb pain is a fascinating topic in regards to the experience of pain in general, and particularly insightful for the chronic pain demographic. There's a strong resistance towards psychology commonly held by chronic pain sufferers of the fear of the implication that it's all in their head. Alas, it's in the periphery and the spinal cord too, and prone to the same very real, physiological, maladaptive neuroplastic changes that create the ghostly phenomena of phantom pain in an amputated part that's not even there. This can all now be observed thanks to neuroscience. Phantom sensations are sensations such as movement, touch, and pain perceived in a deafferented or amputated phantom body part, such as an arm, a leg, a breast. Up to 80% of amputees experience phantom limb pain, making it the biggest issue they face. It appears independently of injury, soon or long after amputation, and is chronic in nature and resistant to treatment. The pain is relentless, of many types, and is often associated with cramped, frozen, twisted, or unnatural feelings. Amputees with phantom limb pain are less likely to wear a prosthesis, experience significant sleep disturbance, and are exposed to the extra stigma and reduced empathy associated with layperson nociceptive conceptions of pain. These biopsychosocial aspects enhance psychological and emotional distress, which is associated with increased phantom limb pain experience. Altogether, phantom limb pain is a significant cause of enhanced distress, dysfunction, and disability in amputees. Silas Mitchell coined the term phantom limb in the late 1800s under the notion that it was a sensory delusion of psychological nature. Yet phantom limb experiencers are aware of their limb and distressed by its phantom existence. Irregular nerve activity of stump neuromas formed around the injured site was next thought to cause the phenomena. Yet surgical removal of a stump neuroma only provides brief relief, if at all, and they can reform anyway. The term central sensitization refers to increased sensitivity of the central nervous system demonstrated in those with chronic pain and other types of neuropathic pain. Increased peripheral nociceptor activity after injury modulates synaptic response of dorsal horn neurons, and there is reduced inhibition of pain signals in the brain. The central nervous system undergoes maladaptive neuroplastic changes to make this pain experience more efficient. This could account for an experience of chronic stump pain, but it doesn't explain why a person can graphically describe how they can feel and move a full phantom hand in space. Recent neuroscience efforts have applied a number of methods to illustrate somatosensory and motor cortical changes associated with phantom limb pain, and we will talk about these in a minute. Our homunculus man here is our brain's depiction of our body based on the areas representing each body part in the cortex. We have many more neurons devoted to the sensation of movement for the hands, lips, and tongue than we do for the torso and limbs, for example. The topographically and functionally organized somatosensory and motor cortices are mapped out by the homunculus man stretched across the perimeter of the respective cortices in the diagram here. When a body part is amputated, it is still represented by this map in the brain. It is now well established that significant cortical reorganisation occurs in patients with phantom limb pain, and it is postulated that disparities between somatosensory and motor cortical activity and peripheral and visual feedback causes distressing phantom sensations. The homunculus tells us that our arm is there, but sensation around our stump and from our eyes tell us that it's not. Children amputated at birth maintain this cortical map, and there are case studies of people having a deformed hand amputated just to be replaced with a full-formed phantom limb afterwards. This lack of sensory feedback also often results in phantom limb pain sufferers experiencing genuine vicarious pain in response to observing pain induced in another's limb. V.S. Ramachandran anecdotally demonstrated cortical reorganization by mapping referred phantom limb sensation on a patient's face. This was thought to illustrate neuroplastic invasion of adjacent homuncular regions into the area previously devoted to the amputated limb. Magnetic resonance imaging studies, or MRI, are able to demonstrate this cortical reorganization structurally. A prominent group of researchers in Germany MRI'd patients while applying pneumatic air pressure stimulation to the fingers and lips, demonstrated massive reorganization with the areas responsible for the lip displacing towards the homuncular location of the phantom limb, and this magnitude of shift was significantly correlated with severity of phantom limb pain. But such MRI studies only demonstrate structural evidence for the somatosensory cortex, overlooking functional mechanisms and the motor cortex as well. Transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS, offers good functional insight. Areas of the somatosensory and motor cortices can be stimulated to elicit phantom sensations and movement. Interestingly, TMS can elicit movements in frozen phantoms, often providing relief. These studies demonstrate functional somatosensory and motor cortical reorganization by phantom sensations in response to stimulation of face and torso areas. However, TMS results alone rely mainly on anecdotal perceptions of touch, pain, and movement magnitude, and combining TMS with other techniques provides a much better picture. Many studies employ electromyography and electroencephalography methods to illustrate stump muscle and cortical activity during phantom limb movement execution or TMS-stimulated movement. The video on the right demonstrates TMS of the hand area of the motor cortex, resulting in a brief contraction of relevant wrist muscles measured by EMG. Motor evoked potentials of stump activity in phantom limb patients correspond with perceived motor execution or stimulation magnitude of the phantom limb, which correlates with perceptual phantom limb movement magnitude. TMS and EMG readings can be used to map the motor cortex and illustrate cortical shift of adjacent areas into phantom areas, such as the face and shoulder areas into those of the hands. They find that optimal TMS electrode positions for face and torso motor regions shift towards the areas of the affected limb. TMS stimulation in appropriate face areas can induce sensation of touch in phantom limb. EEG can record the somatosensory evoked potentials in response to these areas and map functional cortical reorganisation. Optimal TMS electrode positions shift towards effective sides of the somatosensory areas as well. These TMS, EMG, EEG maps can be laid over an MRI for more structural relevance. These studies consistently report motor and somatosensory cortical reorganisation of healthy adjacent areas into the phantom area, and the magnitude of this area is strongly correlated with phantom limb pain. Recent studies combine these techniques with functional MRI to provide a deeper understanding of the structural and functional cortical changes associated with phantom limb pain. fMRI allows for easier comparison of the cortical activity associated with different perceptual movements, such as imagined, mirrored, or executed movements. Colleagues found displacement of lip areas towards phantom hand areas in the motor and somatosensory cortices, and practicing imagined hand movements reverses this organisation. V.S. Ramachandran designed a treatment called mirror box therapy after observing a patient's phantom arm unfreeze after simultaneously moving their intact and phantom arms while observing the intact arm in the mirror. It is thought that this visual feedback helps clear a sensory motor disparity, allowing for more perceptual movement and relief. And as shown on the fMRI here, more reorganisation reversal and reduced phantom limb pain results from training. Patients who report improvements in phantom limb pain after these interventions often report the sensation of the arm telescoping or shrinking towards their socket. This fMRI study compared differences in cortical activity between phantom limb pain sufferers, pain-free amputees, and healthy controls. They compared imagined phantom limb movements, dominant hand movements, and observation of mirrored dominant hand movements. You can see here that pain-free amputees actually showed increased activation of the somatosensory and motor cortices in compared to the others, while those with the worst pain showed the least activation. Thus, it was concluded that increased activity in these areas was associated with better phantom limb movement, enhanced reorganisation reversal, and less pain. Graded motor imagery is a treatment intervention that seeks to improve phantom limb movement ability over 3 graded stages of phantom movement. First, a laterality task involving the identification of the left or right limbs, requiring the patient to mentally check their own hand. Secondly, an imagined movement task, and third, a mirrored movement task. Organisation in a number of other areas has been reported in imaging studies for other chronic and neuropathic pain conditions. Such areas include the anterior cingulate, dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, anterior insula, and the supplementary and premotor areas. Although these areas obviously play a part in the phantom limb pain experience, emerging controversy lies around the issues distinguishing the reorganisation associated specifically to that of chronic pain with that of deafferation. Improved technology allows for improved treatment, and a number of neuroscience methods have been combined with augmented and virtual reality with very convincing results. The first video shows how EMG can be used to read stump muscle activity to move a superimposed augmented reality limb as fed on a live webcam feed, and even to play a car game. Again, visual feedback helps improve phantom limb movement, reverse cortical reorganisation, and ends phantom limb pain. Somatosensory feedback provided by vibration to the cheek, TENS at the stump, or TMS of sensory areas can significantly improve VR results. The second video demonstrates immersive virtual reality treatment for lower leg amputees. AR and VR have an exciting future for phantom limb pain research indeed. Another great technological advancement thanks to neuroscience is that of prosthetic limbs. EMG stump activity can power prostheses to perform accurate movements, which provides visual and proprioceptive feedback to in turn assist embodiment of a prosthetic and loss of phantom limb pain. TMS, TENS, and other stimulators can provide sensory feedback to improve prosthetic embodiment and control, and these techniques can induce the same embodiment effect in healthy armed people as well. They have devised artificially intelligent prosthetics with a sense of touch. They couple a pressure sensor on the prosthetic hand with a robotic stimulator to stimulate surgically redirected cutaneous sensory nerves that previously served the phantom limb. Promising results show complete embodiment of the prostheses and alleviation of phantom limb pain. We'll leave you with a video demonstrating EMG-powered artificially intelligent prosthetics in action.
They've developed legs with EMG sensors that measure and decode the electrical impulses in the muscles of the residual limb and then translate that into movement. Thus, the user only has to think about moving their leg to activate the bionic limb.
I have the condition that my limbs are amputated. is Jesse Baxter's Neuroscience of Cognition assignment submission. Yeah, this is his assignment.